Well, if you are hearing me or seeing me, for the case, maybe I did start streaming, but the system crashed. I do not know if YouTube is still picking up on it, but I am restarting and see where it takes us. So let's see. Take it a little bit of time, I do believe, before we're back up and running, but we will see. You know, I'm really tapping out my resources here on this computer. I must say it's a bit of a struggle keeping it let's say healthy stream going. Just if you know, I had thing is, I upgraded my operating system, and since then it's been so bogged down by the operating system, other things don't have a chance. But of course, that was because Zoom required me to, and then I still wasn't able to use Zoom after I upgraded the operating system. So anyway, we shall see. So we're getting back and up and running here. Let's see what the stream says. Anyway, usually the browser is running, and I don't know what happened since I still am streaming by my streaming software, not the browser. But anyway, we'll see. If you're able to go ahead and you do hear me, just say something in the chat room, letting me know. It'd be hard for me to check on it otherwise. See, it is starting up, but still acting overly slow. So I've got some interesting announcements to make as well. So I wanted to make sure that I brought it up in the very beginning, so we don't, before we get off into Enlil and Enki, where we left off the other day. Okay, so now YouTube is coming up with its streaming interface. Let's see what it says is going on here. And this, so let's see, I'm not sure if I'm on, so I'm just going to hold off before talking about these things. Sorry to keep you in suspense about what's going on there. I'll put on my video. Let's see, still loading up. So I did have, okay, I'll start. We'll see. If I have to repeat myself, I'll repeat myself. So I did have a good conversation yesterday with Chui Loma Loma from the Fiji Islands, and we were discussing what's going on there with their, you know, basically a people's movement that's there. Kind of seems like they're waiting for the government to, you know, finally just give up because they don't have money. They can't keep it going. They're not paying, you know, their civil servants, you know, no teachers or anything for what, a year now. Okay, the screen has come back up. Let's see. So someone is BEE is in the chat room. It says, "Hi, Dan. Have you been able to watch for the last, 5 minutes?" Just give me a text there. Just let me know that if I was still on or not. In any case, I do see that things are happening on. So it looks like I'm still streaming, but I'm not exactly certain, because I should be seeing myself unless it's that much of a delay. Anyway, I'll just keep talking. So, well, let me just start off and say, hi, I'm Dan Lutz, and this is the FrontLines. And oh, see, I'm off track there. Hi, I'm Dan Lutz, and welcome to the FrontLines. In the battle against the deep state, the cabal, the Illuminonkeys, and all those that wish to enslave all of humanity for their own selfish reasons. Okay, got that out of the way. So sorry for the streaming problems starting here this morning. I the browser just quit, and I guess it just had too much going on. I want to first start off with some housekeeping. This is a program that survives off of donations, or basically I survive off of donations at this point from the audience. So thank you very much. I had a good donation of $200 that came in. Actually, my wife is now off doing grocery shopping, caught up on the rest of the rent, and now off doing some shopping. So thank you very much. And please do more donations every day. If some comes in, that keeps things flowing here pretty well. The donation for PayPal is down below. If you'd like to use Western Union or MoneyGram, those also work. Just send me a message by way of email, which is also, that information is in the description of this video down below. If you would like to help with other ways, just contact me. We'll try and figure it out. All right, now two announcements. The first is tomorrow we're gonna be on at exactly 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with a special guest from Witzman Ministries, Sir Timothy Thurop. And if he's if it's working out, we might have Tui drop in on that conversation as well. We might have some technical challenges, but we will do a Zoom link with just audio, and so we'll probably have. I won't have even my video on, just to make sure that it's keeping that down. But we'll have a very interesting conversation with Sir Timothy, and we will be discussing the Tesla technologies that are, part of their ministry. So Witz Ministries was founded by Nikola Tesla, and at the time when they founded this, he had other super intelligent beings of Earthlings, part of this ministry, and they basically coordinated, to save the technologies and be able to carry them forward under the ministry. So this is we had Timothy on a long time ago, probably a year ago, with Tank, and we had a discussion back then. So now Sir Timothy actually also lives in the Philippines, so I have communicated with him in the past, and so he's going to be on tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we will be early tomorrow. So that's 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll do that. For me, it'll be 9 a.m. Just if you're curious. Also, as I said, Tui may also drop in, and I'll discuss with you, kind of why that is. So, one of the things I want to cover today, before we get into Enki and Enlil, is something that I have been interested in for a long time, and that is the syntax grammar from David Wynn Miller, and also the hyphens and everything, just throw me off. So it's kind of, it makes it a little hard to keep it in mind. But Jay Gould, as I guess it would be. So, but forgive me for not having it all down, pat yet, because David Wynn Miller, I guess, invented this syntax grammar way of writing English, or contracts, which keeps them as facts as opposed to
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, hello.
We are here in Maui, Hawaii, and my name is Federal Postal Judge David Wynn Miller.
See,
I punctuate
that's how you
my
say
name with a full colon because it creates a prepositional phrase. I use a hyphen to make my David Wynn a compound.
All right, so he was just telling us all about it. So let me share my screen with you, and we'll get. That's interesting. Why is that showing? That's why. Now I might get something. All right, so. So this right here, oops, definitely some issues here. All right, so this is David Wynn Miller. All right, and I just went through that video yesterday. So let me first talk about this while this is loading. It's just so back and forth where I'm trying to force it to move to the next piece here. So let me just hold on. Okay, so what the importance of this is to understand, and I use the word understand, means stand under. See, for the clarity, there might be a better way of putting it, to be clear about the straw man, the birth certificate entity, and the creation of that, and how what they did was they created this fiction. It is just like we're watching a movie and a narrative of through the TVs and everything, that this is a movie that they're watching. It's all fiction. They're lying to us. They're presenting it as reality, but it's really just a fake reality. It's because it's founded on lies, on basically a system that is there that they pretend is there for us, but it's really for them. So the whole thing from the beginning to end is built on what is fiction, a lie. And it literally, just as you would write a sci-fi novel, science fiction, it's not real, right? But if you use all real characters of the people that you know in politics and in media and in Hollywood, and you keep telling these stories as though it's real, people watch it and believe it is. So this is the fiction, right? So he contends, David Wynn Miller, that they know exactly that they're creating fictions, and even when we're going through the public school system and they teach grammar, they teach never to start something with a prepositional phrase because that is wrong. You can't do that. And I remember that in school, can't start a sentence that way. But he said that his position on this, and I guess has proven out in the way he's formed things, is that is really, you should start that way because that's what creates a fact. And if you keep everything as facts in the document, and you can check that it reads backwards and forwards the same thing, that means it's the truth in both directions. That you can also assign a mathematical system to that to prove it as a formula, right? And check it out. Now, me being an engineer, this has been very attractive to me. I've recently talked about my issues with speaking in other languages. Like I'm here in the Philippines, I speak English, not Tagalog. Well, I can utter a few words, but it's always been difficult for me, other languages. Math was never a problem. from a very young age. I was, a math whiz, and I went through all of the high-level mathematics. I'm electronic engineer, and I was studying for my master's in electrical engineering. I never finished that. I was like a couple of credits shy because I was already started my own business, and I was so more into making money at that time than I was into finishing to get a piece of paper, because the paper didn't mean anything to me. But so the mathematics was always something that I loved to dive into. So when I heard about syntax grammar and they talked about it having a formula, and I said, well, that makes sense to me. So, but I know that it's a very big study to get into, and I've kind of like pushed it off, but I'm no longer pushing it off. Now I'm diving into it. So my first video yesterday, I'm going to do another video today, and every day I'm going to do at least one video, if not 2 or 3, but at least one video a day on syntax grammar, and I'm going to learn all about it and how it functions. So so far, I find it pretty well. It makes sense to me. The basic concept is this. So if you're able to go ahead and list everything as facts, you can have a document that will hold up in court. If you go and you prove that everything in another contract is a lie, right, is a fiction, then they don't hold water. So they shouldn't. They should be able to be thrown out. So if you have a mortgage contract, it can be attacked on this basis, and they've been successful in doing it. Now, I'm sure there's people I've heard that have also done this and have failed, but I guess it's a matter of you're fighting the system, right? And they'll try and figure a way to get you to trip up, whenever they can. So now let's swing this back around to TUI. Right? So I talking with TUI about this, and this is as of a couple weeks ago. I was talking with TUI about this, and I was saying I want to dive into this because in the documents that I'm working on for trust for the gold grain coin, there's someone joining us that's bringing in enough, so let's say, fuel to make this go very fast. We can get on all the exchanges. There's some cost involved in getting on exchanges. If I put it in, so some always like 1 Bitcoin, 2 Bitcoins, 3 Bitcoins. If you looked at different places to basically list the coin, so there's costs involved with that, and there's some other things. So we built our own exchange as well, and so anyway, so this is happening. So what we're going to be doing once we got to a certain number of coins sold, we can leverage the gold. Once we leverage the gold, we get, say, 3 times more that we then trade on, right? And when we trade, we then throw that back into our economy, our ecosystem. And that actually benefits the people that are members, and the people that are leaders, and the people that are on the Privy Council. So this is a way in which everything will start turning over. But in writing the trusts for holding the gold, for example, or the crypto coins for that matter, and the others, I wanted to use syntax grammar. And I had talked with another friend of mine about this, who actually was dealing with some gold certificates and things of that nature. This is going on about 4 or 5 months ago, and he was starting to write this about using syntax grammar for his operation. So when I talked with TUI about this, what he's looking at is how to write the new Fijian constitution. in syntax grammar. So this is how we started having a conversation about that, and so this is I think something I really have to dive into, and of course, not to mention also that on the weekly meeting for Life Force, a couple very enthusiastic people that have been studying syntax grammar jumped into the on to say something about, hey, you should use syntax grammar. So anyway, I'm diving in. I'm going to start to learn as much as I can about this, and I will keep everyone updated as to how that's looking. All right. So that being the case, let me just first check and see how I'm doing on the live streaming. Let's see if everything is going well. Okay. Well, we got 14 viewers. Hello, everybody. So now,
My partner, Russell J. Gould.
Russell J. Gould. There you go. Russell J. Gould. I'm kind of stop this. So see, that's how slow my system is running. The browser came up now. A video just decided to now get to where it's restarted and started giving out. I don't know. That's pretty slow. I'm surprised at how slow these things are running. I'm gonna shut these down right now. All of these other videos, like the ones that I was kind of gonna go over a little bit of this, but things are just too slow. And I think that's not very good. So let me do back to some housekeeping. Just something I wanted to mention. Let me bring this up. I'm going to close these as I go through these. This is my Parler account. I've been posting here some of the things from the WWG1 WGA.love Telegram group. This was an interesting one. This is about Hollywood. It's a meme, basically, that no money, no movies, no jobs. So the Hollywood crowd is basically losing out. So this is I think something that people should join over here on Parler and follow along here and make this your home. That being said, this is my Facebook. Now, if you message me in Facebook, I may not even see it for a year. Just letting you know. And this is the new interface that they put in here. So this makes it a little bit crazy on how many for me to do it. But anyway, I'm posted my Parler links here. Now here's the last two Parler links that I just did. Here's another one. Join me in my Parler social media. See how China attacked all the countries of the world. So this is the economic hit that everyone took. China took the least, right? So why was that? They locked down Wuhan, China, right? And then didn't let anyone travel within China, but let everyone travel outside of China. That's an economic hit. It's a wartime footing. Okay, before we get there, let me cover a couple more. Just a very interesting thing that came up. This is Zero Hedge. They're discussing 4chan, the place where the number 17 movement, that letter in the alphabet, number 17, a movement started on 4chan, but moved to 8chan, or now 8kun, I'm sorry. And now they basically there's a report now that 100% Antifa, Portland police investigate suspect identified by 4chan hours after shooting. So basically, this guy was identified as being the shooter of a Trump supporter, and he is an Antifa member. but he was identified via 4chan. So I think that's, kind of an interesting, thing that is there. So here's the evidence of it. So I just wanted to point that out. I thought it was an interesting little story. Also, this one, this will be the last one. We get right into Enki and Enlil after this. Trump's small dollar donation surge, marking the major shift of the GOP. So it says here, 61% of the money raised directly by Trump campaign has come with small donations under $200. Okay, so that's amazing in itself. Okay, well, I'm just going to close that down. And back over to here, into the chat, okay. So, I mean, there's not much I can really do too much about getting away from the mic. There is one thing I can do. I tell you what I'm going to do. On occasion, my system preferences, for some reason, change the microphone settings. I'm going to look right now and see if they are not at max. It's possible that has changed. It does happen. I don't go in there and lower it. So I'm looking at inputs right now. And it is not at maximum. There we go. For whatever reason. Now, how does that sound? Is that any better? So, Judith, is that any louder? This is like one of those things. Why does the system decide just to lower the volume on the microphone? It's not me doing it. Okay. So if you're not able to see the pictures, there is lag going on my system. Not much I can do about that. I'm hoping that I've got everything shut down at this point, so that I'm going to play this video for Enki and Enlil. Then we'll discuss it. Let's see. I'm just going to refresh the whole page, and we'll see how that goes. So I had started this video, and we went, probably, I don't know, 5-7 minutes into it last time, and just saw some of the background on this. So this story, the Anunnaki story, kings of our past. So I'm trying to pause it. I want it to load a little bit before we get rolling, so it may flow a bit better. Guess I stopped. I thought I paused it, but I didn't. Okay, it is paused now. Okay. So, no, it's not.
An amazing revelation has been discovered. But first, let us begin with
that's how slow my system
the ancient Sumerian story. Enki.
Let me talk a little bit about this. Hopefully, I have it paused, and it's going to stay paused while it loads in a little bit. Okay, so when we're talking about the world system, right, and we're really talking about who's been in charge from behind the scenes, and it's easy for us to think back in history, even what we've learned from our history, that we know that, go back a few hundred years ago, we're talking about one king and another kingdom and another kingdom, and all these royal monarchies from around the world, and they ruled the different parts of the world, and they were doing it by divine right. Basically, they were all say that they're all chosen by God, right? This is it. That's the way the planet was ruled, by these families. And they like to follow their own bloodlines, and that they like to keep them pure, and they like to keep most of this bloodline intact. So there's if you want to go and think about what the Da Vinci Code was all about, they talked about the bloodline of Jesus, and that existed as the Merovingian bloodline, the Machiavellian bloodline. That Jesus had a daughter that went and was married into the royalty in France, and that bloodline was then intermarried with other royalty, and there's one theory. But there's another theory that this is going back to Enki and Enlil, and that these are a race of beings from another planet called the Anunnaki, and that they came here to mine gold, and that the bloodline that these families are trying to keep intact, or as pure to them as possible, is that of the Anunnaki. If you take it into the Bible, it'll say that these are the angels that came down from heaven and intermarried or interbreeded with humans, and then formed the Nephilim. So there's a lot of pieces to this puzzle. I've heard different takes on it. This is a 17-minute movie on how they say that this came about, and I think it's good to have different perspectives. Now, this is also leading into up to 2 reincarnations of Enki and Enlil that are alive here on the planet, and they even have photos of them here in this. And I assume that this is about their storyline is that they're coming back together, and it's like all peace and love in the family now. But it also talks about the aspect of Satan and how that comes into, and there's a reptilian angle that gets into this storyline. So, that's why it's good just to, no, I'm not saying that this is true. I'm just giving this as, this is someone's perspective on how all these puzzle pieces come together. All right, so I think it's loaded in well enough. Let's flip over and let's take a look.
Though brilliant, was a spoiled child, jealous of his brother-in-law, and wanting a kingdom of his own.
I'm just going to go back and start again.
An amazing revelation has been discovered. But first, let us begin with the ancient Sumerian story. Enki, though brilliant, was a spoiled child, jealous of his brother-in-law, and wanting a kingdom of his own. When Nibiru was faced with the crisis of loss of atmosphere, the Anunnaki decided to mine gold on the earth to reseed their atmosphere. Enki saw it as an opportunity to grab power. He fomented a worker revolt, knowing that he could use Nibiru's emergency to force the council to accept anything. Enki wanted a world filled with slaves that he could rule over, which is something neither the council nor the Anunnaki would have ever allowed. But Enki was shrewd. He convinced the council that Nibiru would die if the gold-seeded atmospheric shield was delayed. He convinced them that the workers would not return to duty as they were following his orders, since he was in charge of the mining operation. He convinced the council that the only solution was to create a non-sentient species out of the highest order ape available to do the labor, but make them incapable of reproduction, so they would naturally die off. The council saw no alternative, so they reluctantly and conditionally agreed, and they allowed Enki to carry out the plan. But Enki pulled a fossil and gave the new species the ability to breed, wanting a permanent stock of slaves for his planned kingdom. Enki went even further. He didn't just manipulate the ape's DNA, but he actually infused Anunnaki DNA into the mix. This would give him slaves that he would find attractive and acceptable to be in the company of. Enki did this both in the laboratory and also allowing his loyal striking workers to inseminate the females he created. This we find in Genesis 6, which led to the Nephilim. When Lord Anu and his son, Lord Enlil, learnt of this treachery, Enlil was sent to the earth to correct his brother's sin against the universe, as the Anunnaki have very strong moral code. Enlil took over on earth and brought Enki to justice, but it was too late. Enki had created several abominable and potentially dangerous seed lines, all without an Anunnaki spirit and without Anunnaki morals and virtues. These were savage slaves that resembled the Anunnaki but were violent beasts. The council decided that such an abomination must never be allowed to progress, because they would be a cancerous infestation to the universe and a danger to any other species they encountered. But because of Anunnaki morals, the genocide of a related race was nearly unthinkable. So they decided to let a natural event destroy this abomination. They knew that Nibiru's next close pass by the earth would cause massive flooding, wiping out the abomination. They decided to let it happen. Enki didn't want to lose this opportunity to have a kingdom of his own, so he went against the orders of the council and protected segments of his created beings from the flood. When the council learned of this, they were livid, and Enki paid a price for his treachery. But this left a growing species that was still as dangerous as ever. Satan, a reptilian, petitioned the council to eradicate man, so the threat would be contained. Man's true savior, Lord Enlil, who was Lord Rael, fought against Satan in front of the council on behalf of man. Lord Enlil argued that man was part Anunnaki and therefore possessed the divine spark, and if properly educated and nurtured, they could one day be equals. Satan vehemently disagreed, asserting that a species cannot be taught to have morals, that the law of love is either written in their hearts or it is not. The council found logic in both sides of the argument and offered a compromise. Since Satan was man's chief accuser, he and his people would be allowed to utilize parts of Lord Enlil's plan to educate, but at the same time weed out those that would not be capable of evolving. The plan would give Satan a set amount of time to fulfill this directive. after which he was to hand over the earth to its rightful custodians, the Anunnaki, at which point those that were considered evolvable would be educated and nurtured under the Anunnaki for a period of 1,000 years, before becoming full and free members of the council themselves. All sides reluctantly agreed, but Satan did not believe that man should ever be allowed into the universe, and he developed a very cruel system to cause man to live, die, and be trapped in this cycle, so that man would forget the lessons he had learned, and he would have to start from scratch after each incarnation. Satan then created a group to dominate man, giving them the knowledge man lost between incarnations. This group was given an infusion of reptilian DNA, so they would be more intelligent and less compassionate, and thus be better equipped to dominate the Anunnaki seed line, which is human. When Lord Enlil learnt of this, he went before the council, stating that this is no better than what Enki did. The council disagreed, stating that man was most likely going to be destroyed anyway, so if Satan needed to do something unconventional that may help man accelerate in his progress, what was the harm? The harm was lesser Anunnaki souls being thwarted in a death-rebirth cycle that was not going to fulfill the plan of man's evolution. Lord Enlil took matters into his own hands. Lord Enlil had a staging area set up on the planet within the Anunnaki Empire, where souls would come between lifetimes, have their past life reviewed and recorded, and then have them returned to the earth for their next incarnation. This ensured that the lessons of each lifetime would not be lost, and that the memories could be reinfused if necessary, so each person would have the total value of all their life lessons gained over all their lifetimes. He then had to open a path for these souls to escape Earth on death, so they could come to the staging area. This is why he came to the earth 2,000 years ago, as the Christ, to open the light tunnel and save the souls of man. Lord Enlil has incarnated more than once here, to ensure that man's path remains on course to apotheosis. Now let us delve deeper into this ancient account. Let us consider this from the perspective of Lord Anu. If you were a father of 2 boys, and one did something very bad that caused him to be cast out, creating a situation that his brother had to repair, and provoking a long and contentious rift between the 2 siblings, you might try to create a redemptive path by which your prodigal son may return to honor, while fomenting a situation that would bring the brothers back to each other's love. It seems that Lord Anu has done exactly this. A number of people have asked if Enki was reincarnated, and if so, where he is presently located. In the not so distant past we were unsure, and yet occasionally offered limited speculation. The general public was advised that the Holy King's imperial regent was not at liberty to gossip about a royal within the Holy Family. However, the Torah code has now revealed his true identity. It must be said that Enki is not an evil being. He simply allowed ambition to get the better of his judgment, leading him to violate an ethical restriction of the Anunnaki. If if he hadn't performed that violation, none of you would be here today. So in the same way one looks at a deadly hurricane with great umbrage, one must also remember that the hurricane will bring forth water and blossom to the desert. The royals have incredibly high moral standards, so if they were going to allow Enki back to a place of honor, receiving absolution for his sin, he would have to perform an immense penance that would humble him while demonstrating that his divine right to rule was not lost through his transgression. But for this to be genuine, his penance would have to be served in the dark, keeping the truth hidden from him or anyone who could possibly interfere in any way, including his brother Enlil, who we know as Lord Rael. So Enki was forced to come to earth over and over again, living and suffering with each generation of man, so he could feel their pain and gain the perspective of the agony an unenlightened sentient life must endure through its evolutionary section. Only in this way could he fully understand why the unauthorized creation of sentient beings is a great sin among the membership of the council. Enki endured the pain each time, suffering greatly, but simultaneously helping man grow in greatness, even giving man the laws that would become the foundation for all of the great societies of earth, which was no small task when walking through a desert for 40 years. Yes, Enki is Moses. Enki is Cardinal Richard Ruff, and only because we are at the very end of days, God has revealed this long-hidden truth to him, because our brother has made it through this terrible penance and has victoriously overcome his ancient transgression. He has earned the right to share our Lord's throne. Revelation 3:21. And I shall grant the overcomer to sit with me on my throne, just as I have overcome and sit with my Father on his throne. The clues were always there, like Richard Ruff's personal Torah codes, referring to him as a criminal, while also calling him Lord Rael's brother, or the Jewish tradition that says Moses returns each generation, or that he wasn't allowed to enter the Promised Land after all he endured during the Exodus, or Lord Rael's mysterious promise of Revelation 3:21. Because the royals are not known for sharing planetary rulership with anyone outside the divine line, no matter how meritorious their service to the crown has been. Enki is divine. The Bible says that Enki will sit with the Lord upon his throne, so this indicates a somewhat subordinate position, but this can be called co-rulership. Enki will be third in royal succession. Lord Anu, Lord Enlil, who was Lord Rael, Lord Enki, who was Cardinal Richard Ruff. The royal tree of Lord Anu hath bed double fruit, with two wonderful sons, who for a time were segregated from each other, but are now being reunited in their grand mission. It is a glorious day for a family reunion and reconciliation, and we are all immensely proud of Cardinal Richard Ruff. Praise be to God. The Torah codes have confirmed this fantastic discovery, just in time to prepare for the great day of the Lord. Amen.
Okay. Well, first, let me look in the live stream. Make sure. Any questions, you can post them there into the chat. All right. All right, sound is good. Okay, so got 27 viewers right now. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's talk a little bit about this because it brings up a lot of questions. Interesting that in how some of these pieces come together. Again, setting aside that there are reincarnated beings right now, let's just look at the story. I don't know anything about the two beings that they're talking about, the cardinal and the Lord Rael. I don't know anything more than what I've heard just right here. I've got interesting things that are counter to what I could say is what I have heard as being issues. For example, like this cycle of rebirth, right? Heading to the tunnel, right? And then when you get into the tunnel, it actually recycles you back into this matrix, right? And you do it again. Now, according to them, this is the place where you go so you can record your life, and then that's way you get recycled. So you do get recycled, but you've recorded your life, and now this helps you because now there's a record. But you are going to be recycled. So what is the good way? What is the bad way? So I've heard people say, don't go into the light. Whatever you do, don't go into the light. Now, interesting on a personal basis for me, I had the experience of going to the light. I had that near-death experience once when I was in high school. And I had a fall and ended up... according to the people who picked me up and carried me to a van, that they said that you weren't breathing, you went in your heart, and that I had died, right? And they were all freaking out. And I recall, while I'm looking down and lifting up, like backing up out of the van, as though the van was transparent but not there, but I could see them all freaking out and shaking my body, and then I turned, and I remember my action of turning away from looking at my body, and as I turned like this direction and towards the right and to turn around and look up, my life passed before my eyes. And I do recall that I saw more than where I already was. Right? That was kind of a unique thing. And then by the time I was completely turned around, I'm going through the circle of light, and an arm reaches out. I see a silhouette, which I took as Jesus. And the arm was, just a very masculine arm, and it reached out with a hand and said, "Are you ready to come now?" And I said, "No, I've got too much work to do." And so I turned back, like in an instant, back the other way, and landed back in my body and woke up and then freaked those people out, my friends that were there hanging around me. And they said, "We thought you were dead." I told them I went to the circle of light. So anyway, this story then, of going to the light or not to the light. So I kind of made as part of my reality check for after death to look for the golden thread and to follow the golden thread to the door. And that way I would know that's the place where I needed to go, was through that door. My own little a way of handling the controversy about going into the light or not. So, are you supposed to go to the light? You're not supposed to go to the light. That's the question. So in knowing that this system, that is obviously in place because there has been this battle of two sons, Anunnaki. Now they're in this story, they're the good guys in general. They have high moral standards, right? And how wrong it is to make sentient beings, right? And just that being said, I also know of another whole story of something that's way, way older. We're talking like billion years ago. Another race that their goal was to create the circumstances of life to which sentient beings formed on those planets, where they implanted, genetic codes or whatever have you to unfold, so that their purpose was to, like was a Johnny Appleseed going around and putting some seeds around. That's what they did. So, which story is correct? Are they both correct or not? I don't know. I think that there is something that we should be aware of the system in place, and how much it is important for us to know that there is different stories, right? And that the cabal, the Illuminonkeys, the deep state, those that are in service to their masters, which we could say are Luciferian worship. So in this case, is it Enlil or is it Enki? I get both sides of that, right? In this one, it's Satan, which has nothing to do with either one of them, right? These are the Orions or the reptilians that are coming. So I was picking up before that the Anunnaki originally came from Orion. Now, was that true, or maybe that's just someone trying to put the pieces together and they put that theory out there? Hard to know. But I would say that the people here that are following the Luciferian model are only fools to the ones that have that they call master, that they are being made fun of, that they are basically having them attack their own kind, right? And telling them that, well, you're better than them because you've got some of our blood. This seems to be their, that they're being made fun of. I think that they have think that their masters are good, right? In that, but there's some politics behind it that we don't know what's going on. But what sense does it make to harm your own race? Yeah, you have to convince yourself that you're not part of that race and you're above and everything else. Same thing, if you look at any of the ways that we go throughout our society, and we've looked at these are the bad guys, whether it was white versus black in the skin color. In India, it was shades of brown, till you get to white, or the very dark and the black. Or is it religion? Was it against the Buddhists, against the Christians, against the Muslims, against the Jews, whatever the religion is? So it's always about dividing us up. When we are here on this planet, we're earthlings. We are basically the same. If we're talking about an amount of melanin that we have in our bodies as making our skin darker, having darker skin helps when you're in more lighted areas. If you're in the cooler parts of the planet, it's best not to have as much, right? So this is silliness. And so for those that are on the side of the cabal, on the side of the deep state, at the level that you know what you're doing, that you know that you're part of a group, and you're doing some kind of Luciferian worship, killing, other people, torturing other people, so that you can milk them for some adrenochrome. you're deluded. You really are. You don't know that you've been made fun of by those, and they're just laughing at you. Your masters are laughing at you. Look what we can make the stupid humans do. They're obviously not worthy of being sentient. They're barbaric. Look, we can get them to kill each other. And so you're just buying into that. You're into their politics. And your egos are so big that you'll never admit to it. Right? But we're done with that. We're moving past that. And this is going to be something we should really be aware of. And we're going to find out some of the facts of what the history really has been. Right? And maybe we can have some knowledge of some way of using things to figure out where we're at, in the scheme of things. But it doesn't matter. What matters is where we are right now and what we make of this world and of us. So whether Enki is a good guy or bad guy, it's interesting to know, right? Whether he's here right now, don't know. Supposedly, Marduk is now gone, right? Because that would be the grandson of Enki, who was left in charge, and it was the head of the world for a while. We take another storyline that we know, the narrative that is that we've learned from Kim and all this, and so these pieces, are very interesting to put these into perspective. But what's important is, where are we going? Right? We're here right now, and we have fires and people killing each other and rioting in the street that is coming from a group that's paying for this to get done. Right? Soros, remember, Antifa stood up and said, hey, you don't pay us, we're not going to be doing anything. Doesn't really seem like that's really original, right? That's a real movement when it's paid for by some people with a lot of money, right? They're just trying to basically herd the cattle, right? That's all they're doing. They're paying their rustlers to go out there and herd the cattle. So we got to really keep things in perspective as we move on, right? We need to really think of what we need for our children, for our own lives, for our environment. We don't want to pollute our environment. We want oil is going to be around for a while. It's not the best form of oil, but it's okay. We can deal with it. We have a lot less pollution now than we had 100 years ago from oil. Before, they were burning stuff. They're burning trees left and right. There's all sorts of smoke in all the cities. Those cities were filled with horse manure from pulling carts. We're in much better shape. Right? We've been cleaning up our act. I belong to the Isaac Walton League, the first conservation group, the first one. Their major act in 1972, the Clean Water Act. Who pushed this together? The Isaac Walton League was filled with farmers and fishermen and hunters that wanted to be good stewards of the land. That's a good place to be, but it's not about humans bad. It's not, that's ridiculous. The ones that are saying it are bad. Those are the bad humans. We're good. We're amazing. And we need to basically come together and make a wonderful planet. And that's what we need to do. Realize, we're making these steps. And we are going to have an amazing world. We have some, growing pains that we're going through. We're dealing with the aftermath of this election. We have to go ahead and create new economic systems. That's another thing I'm talking about with Tui from Fiji. Just for the latecomers, tomorrow I'll be having possibly Tui will be coming on, but also Timothy Thrupp with WITS Ministries to talk about Tesla technology. There might be a very interesting show for tomorrow. Again, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. So be sure to tune in at that time. We will be early tomorrow. If I could keep it at 9, I think it probably would be good. It's really a push for me to get there at 9 a.m. my time, because morning stuff happens, right? Sometimes I'm trying to get, I'm on the phone with some people, and it just happens to be. But anyway, that's how things are. I talked with Tui this morning. I talked with Timothy this morning as well. But still able to get things going. So, all right. So let me check one more time. See if there's any questions. Out of the body experience, astral projection. Yeah. Well, maybe we'll do an out of body experience, call-in show or something like that, and have people come in and talk about their experiences. I'll tell you the one thing that did for me. Right, I prayed to God. I don't remember a time that I didn't pray from a very young age. I remember I was brought up Catholic, and I remember my grandmother teaching me the Lord's Prayer, and also the bedtime prayer. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. That was, as a little child, right? And but the religion thing always was wacky. I left the Catholic Church at age 13 because they were doing stuff that just didn't make any sense according to what the Bible said, and so on. But, so I've always been outside in regards to religion, but an inside in regards to God.